Hello and welcome to Katrina's Creations. This is episode 150. So, second week in the craft cave, reorganized. And let's get started. I have only one finished object, and that is I have the spinning done. I have 3 skeins that have been spun. This is not the original yarn that I started with. That's going to take some time, but this was some yarn when I cleaned out the craft cave that I discovered was lace weight and decided to ply it together and to make it into something that was a little bit more useful. So I have 3 skeins. It's a total of 877, almost 878 yards, I believe. And, or is it 844? It's over 800. We'll put it that way. It's over 800 yards, which is a good bit of yarn here. And this is considered a fingering to sport weight. It's kind of in between based on my wraps per inch. I got 13 wraps per inch and 12 wraps per inch is a sport and 14 wraps per inch is considered a fingering. So I'm right in between. So close enough for country work. It will work. So yes, I have 3 skeins of that. So that's my finished object this week. So if you would like to learn more about the spinning process from the time it comes off of the sheep until you actually begin to spin it, Yoka has an excellent blog. I will put it somewhere here. Actually, I'll stick it down in the links below so you can click on that. It'll take you right over to her blog. And check it out and hit the follow button because she posts some really interesting things over there. It is in Dutch. However, if you hit the translate button that's up in the right-hand corner of her page, Google Translate will translate it for you. But yes, there's a lot of interesting things over there and lots of techniques and things that she shares. So go check that out. There is a third part that I am doing for the spinning videos. In the series, there's a total of 3 videos, and you can go over and check those, the first 2 out. The third one will be not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. It will be up so you can see it. So, that being said, let's get started with my works in progress. My first work in progress is the sweater that Pam Phillips and I are both doing at the same time. Now, last week I didn't even show it because I was kind of embarrassed at how little I had gotten done. I had 1 row done last week. So here it is this week. I might get this closer so you can see the colors, and they're pretty true to color. When I first put these together, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it or not, but now I'm liking it. I was afraid it would look too circusy, and I don't need to look like a clown, but it's looking pretty good now. So there it is. It's all the primary colors plus green, so it's blue and yellow and green and kind of it's not really a rust. So I guess it's not technically primary colors because it's kind of a rusty orange. It might look red. There you go. It's a rusty orange. So like I said, at first I was afraid I'd look like the circus big top tent, but I think it's coming along. And this is a sweater that is available on YouTube for a tutorial, and you actually crochet the back of it. It's all one piece. You crochet the back of it, then you crochet the sleeves, then you crochet the front, and then you seam the whole thing together from the underarms up and down the sides. Now, I did change something on the pattern, and that is it told you to base the back measurement on your shoulder width. I would like to say my hips are the same size as my shoulders, but they are not. My hips are wider than my shoulders, so I actually based this on a little bit wider than my hips because I do not want a sweater that's going to gape open in the front and my stomach's going to hang out. Not attractive. It's not something I'm going to wear. I like something that's going to fit me a little bit more. So that's what I did. I made it a little bigger than what it calls for. I'm big up top too. My shoulders are narrow, but the rest of me is not. So, I'm hoping this will fit a little bit better. So that is how far I have gotten. So if I was to wrap this around my shoulders, when you measure for something like this, you don't just measure, like, here's my shoulders, because that would look like I've made like almost twice as wide as it needed to be. When you measure for your shoulders, you have to remember that the center seam is going to be midway around your arm, not just at the edge of your shoulder. So by the time I wrap this around to the mid seam, I have about a 2-inch space on each side. So I have less around my hips. But anyway, I think it'll work. I hope it'll work. We'll see together. But anyway, that's project number 1. And I am using, this is a worsted weight yarn, and I'm using a 6mm, 5mm hook. I thought I used 6mm. I'm using a 5mm hook for this. So that is project number 1. The other 2 are knitting. This is a mess. Yeah. Let me untangle this before I show it to you. It's another dishcloth, and I am working on this one for a tutorial, which will be up on Wednesday. That's this Wednesday's video. Many of you have asked for a tutorial on this particular dishcloth. So here it is, untangled. I think this is the last navy blue one I'm making. And I have 7 squares, or 7 of these little toothed edges along here. I have to do 12. So I've got 5 more to go. So that is a dishcloth that's in works, and somehow or other we had Yarnzilla happen here. And yes, or yarn barf, as it's also called, where the skein of yarn like basically throws up all the yarn that's on it, and then you end up with this. Yes, anyway, yeah, we'll get that figured out. Then my last work in progress is my sweater that I've been working on like forever. And the weather is now turning cooler, so by the time I finish this, I will probably not be able to wear it till next spring. But I have made some progress on it. I got another, last week I had about 2 inches done, and this week I have about 1.5 inches done. So it's coming along. So there it is. There's the beading, and there's the sweater. And in case you weren't aware from watching before, these are the arms right here. They're just being held on stitch holders where I will pick those stitches back up and knit the sleeves. They'll be short sleeves, so I'll be putting those on a little bit later. Now, I do have to tell you a funny story, because I actually met Kim and I. She lives outside of Gettysburg on one end, and I live outside Gettysburg on the other end. We met at the library Thursday night to do some knitting. Now, it was a rainy day. We had a wonderful time. We sat there for about 1.5 hours. We went over, and before the library closed, we went running through the crochet and knit section to see if they had any interesting books to look at. Was very disappointed. They had lots of beaded knitting. Well, I want to say lots. They have 5 or 6 beaded knitting books. They had a couple of crochet things, but it was sadly lacking in the craft department. I was very disappointed. So I didn't end up checking anything out. Otherwise I would have showed you guys. But that wasn't the funny part of the story. When we got ready to leave, it was raining. So I had an umbrella. She didn't. She took off running because she was across the street and I was around the corner. And I get in the car, jump in real quick because I'm parallel parked, which I don't like to do. I hate parallel parking, but I actually did it fairly well. But I jump in the car, shut the door real quick because there's cars coming by, zoom back home, and as I'm getting out of the car at my house, I realize the whole bottom of my skirt is dripping wet. And then I realized what I have done. I closed my skirt in the door and drug it all the way through every puddle in Gettysburg, all the way home. So yes, all I could think was, I'm glad it's dark and I'm wearing a dark skirt. Otherwise, can you imagine all the tourists, because we're still in tourist season, all the tourists looking at that car go down the road going, look at the crazy local whose clothes are hanging outside the door of her car. Yeah, so anyway, yes, my skirt got dragged through every puddle all the way home. And so I could wring my skirt out. It was that wet. was like, yeah, that's not good. So yeah, that was my craziness this week. Now it's time to see what you guys have been up to this week. Now, Dave and I did some volunteering. We volunteer at a missionary organization over in Hanover, Pennsylvania, it's about 8 miles from where we live. So anyway, it's a mission organization we've supported for years. And when Dave retired, he wanted to be able to volunteer for them. And so we process their mailing. I volunteer with them. And so Dave prints out any of the newsletters. They have over 50 missionaries that are national pastors that are basically overseen by the group that we work with. And so when they have a newsletter that they want to go out, it gets sent into the main office, which is where we volunteer. And my husband prints out those newsletters once they've been formatted and the pictures have all been put together. He doesn't have to do all that. But he does print them out, and then we get them folded, and then they either get put in an envelope and sealed, or they get put little tabs on them if they're going to get mailed without an envelope. So we do that. Well, we had 2 huge mailings come through this past week. We processed almost 3,000 pieces of mail. So I'm just for the fun of it, I'm going to stick some pictures in. You'll see Dave sitting at the desk doing his thing, and you'll see all the envelopes or the newsletters that I'm getting ready to work on. So I'm going to stick those in really quick. So we have a lot of fun there, and we also have missionaries that come and stay in our home. We offer our home up to do that as well, because we do have 2 bedrooms upstairs that we don't use. Well, this is one of them. The craft cave is one of the spare bedrooms. And so there's a bathroom up here and stuff, so they have a little bit of privacy. And we do have some missionaries coming to stay with us for about 2 weeks. And so there will be a video, not this week, but the week after that. So episode number 152, I'm actually going to be pre-recording portions of it because I can't film up here because this is where they'll be staying, and, I don't want to invade their space. So, and I feel really weird filming in my kitchen with them right there. So, yeah, so anyway, we have some people staying with us. So we have a lot of fun with the missionaries and with volunteering, and you get to meet people from all over the world. So it's fun. The only part that's stressful for me really is they don't speak English. They speak Spanish. Now, their son does speak English, which is going to be helpful. Otherwise, I'm going to be smiling and pointing a lot. Dave speaks fairly fluent Spanish. I understand more than I can speak, but I get afraid of opening my mouth and embarrassing myself because I've done that many times before. So anyway, this is going to be a fairly short episode this week because we are now ready for our... Now, in our Come and Get It section, you saw me put through several sales this week that were going on. Yeah, some random sales. I think a lot of these companies are going through and trying to get rid of their overstock of yarn or something. I don't know. But there was a lot of good sales. Some of them are still running. So let's get started with what is going on. Over in Annie's, I try to pick a crochet pattern that I think is really pretty and a knitting pattern that I think is really pretty. So they have a lacy lavender coat, and it's crocheted. It is $5.99 for the pattern, and I thought it was really pretty. So then I went and tried to find something comparable. I always am looking for, like, if I'm looking at a sweater, I try to find one in both crafts, both knitting and crochet. So over in the knitting, they have a sweater called the Canola Knit pattern, and I'm going to put that one up. That is running $6.99 to $7.99. Now, over in Bluprint, they were one of the sales that was running. It was a flash sale. They have a clearance on kits and supplies, and they have a lot of Bremont brand yarns on sale right now in their clearance section, one of which is the Camino alpaca, and it's only for $2.49, which is really dirt cheap if you want alpaca. And the sweater I originally started to make before I ended up with this was going to be out of that Camino alpaca. And if you remember the Swedish Lines knitted shawl that I made a while back, that was Camino alpaca. So it's very, very soft. It's a fingering weight and $2.49. And I think it's 219 yards, something like that. So yeah, really good deal. You're basically spending a little over a penny per yard. So that is on sale over there. Shawl and a Ball is also for sale over on Bluprint for $5. Consumer Crafts also is having a good sale. If you like to make dishcloths, like the dishcloth tangled up mess that I've got going on right now, this is the Lily Sugar and Cream. And Consumer Crafts has hands down the cheapest price on Lily Sugar and Cream than I've ever found. Even compared to like walking into Walmart or something like that. They normally sell it for $1.97, which I think is cheaper than what you can get in the store. They are selling all of their yarn is 20% off right now. You do need to use a coupon code YARN20, but that $1.97 would now be $1.58 for a skein of the Lily's Sugar and Cream. So if you have a burning desire to make dishcloths, especially after our pattern tutorial on Wednesday, you could get it from Consumer Crafts. They do mail pretty quickly. I usually get it within a couple of days. So anyway, that is a 20% discount over on Consumer Crafts. Create for Less. If you like to sew, it is like National Sewing Month. Who knew? September is National Sewing Month. But anyway, if you do a lot of sewing, they have a sale on all their brands of thread right now. They also offer Red Heart Classic. It's in their clearance section for $2.39. The Dollar Tree has Premier Home Cotton on sale. All of their yarn is $1 per skein, but you do need to buy the entire case. So if you go over there to buy some, just make sure you really read clearly, because some of the cases are 6 to 8 skeins. Some can be as many as 54 to 57 skeins. So just make sure you really read what you get before you order it. But anyway, they have Premier Cotton yarn. They also have Isaac Mizrahi. I've never heard of it, but anyway, they have it. They have Red Heart Unforgettable, and they have Puppy Tails, which is like a chunky yarn. So all of those for $1 per skein, but like I said, you do need to buy a case. And Pam and I were laughing because she did buy a case of yarn, and I think she got the 54 skeins of yarn. And I was like, what in the world are you going to do with 54 skeins of yarn? Are you going to like knit or crochet wall-to-wall carpeting in your house? Or matching Afghans for every family member that you've got? And extended family members. But she said, she got to laugh, and she says, actually, the skeins of yarn are not that big. It won't be as much as what it looks like. So, do make sure you check your yardage, and you do realize that you have to buy a full case. But yes, I'm interested to see what Pam comes up with for 54 skeins of yarn. Anyway, lots of Christmas gifts are going to be in her future, I think. So over at Hobium, this one has been tempting me like all week long. I talked about it last week. They have a trio over in their Stars of the Month. I mean, they have lots of other yarns to check out. Just always check out their Star of the Month and their clearance. That's going to be your best sales over on that website. But they have these gradient sets right now. 3 skeins of yarn. 1 is white or cream. 1 is variegated. And 1 is another solid color. So it might be red and a variegated red and white, and then a white yarn. And same like if it was green or blue, something like that. You have 2 solids and a variegated, and they all coordinate together. They are a light DK weight. There's 273 yards per skein. It's not the whole thing. I thought it was maybe all 3 together, but thank you to Tina, who actually went over and talked to them on their customer service and asked, is that per skein or is that for the whole bundle? They said it's per skein. So that is a lot of yards. That is like almost 800 yards, or is it over 800 yards? It's over 800 yards. 3? Yeah. My adding, I can't add in my head that quickly. It's a lot of yarn. I'll put it up here, whatever it comes up to. But anyway, that's a lot of yarn for $7.35. So like I said, it's been calling my name all week. I don't need any more yarn, but it's so pretty. There's some that's gorgeous over there. So that is Hobium Yarns. Ice Yarn, of course, always has their Tuesday deal of the week. They also have closeout and garage sale. I was going to show you some of it, but to be honest, there's so much to show that I wouldn't even know where to begin. But anyway, that is Ice Yarns. Knit Crate, you can get 20% off of your first subscription box. You do need to use the coupon code KCreations20 in order to get that. Over on Knit Picks, they have 20% off of all of their alpaca yarns. They also are off, you do not need a coupon code for that. They also have 30% off their Felici yarn. If you're not familiar with what Felici is, it is yarn that is, it's a striping yarn usually. It's used for socks. They're very, very well known for sock yarn. And so they have their Felici sock yarn for 30% off. And then they're also offering a deal, it's for sweater weather because people are knitting sweaters right now. And if you buy more than 10 skeins of the select yarn that they have in the deal, you can get 10% off. So you do need to buy 10%, or you do need to buy 10 skeins of one of the yarns that is what they're putting under the sale. So it is under select yarns, but you have to buy 10 or more skeins and you get 10% off. And you do need to use a coupon code SWEATER10 in order to get that discount. So that is over at Knit Picks. Leisure Arts has homespun comfort afghans. There's 7 crocheted afghans in the pattern. And that's $3.99 for a download. So that's really cheap when you figure you're getting 7 patterns out of that. They also have, it's called Make a Weekend Afghan, and those are knitted, and there's 10 different patterns in that one, and that is $4.99. So you're getting 10 patterns for $4.99. I think that comes out to about 50 cents per, about roughly $5. Yeah, about 50 cents per pattern. Can't beat that. Lion Brand they're running what's called the 12 weeks of Christmas. Is Christmas really only 12 weeks away? Glad I've got most of my shopping done, but yeah, 12 weeks, really. Anyway, they are offering 40% off of all of their yarn and kits. So that's a really super deal. It's over at Lion Brand. You do need to use a coupon code SAVE40SEPT. So it's the abbreviation for September. So I'll put it up here so you'll see it. But that's 40% off of all yarn and kits. Really good deal over at Lion Brand. So now we have a couple of announcements really quick. Like I said, Wednesday's video is going to be the dishcloth tutorial that several of you have asked about. So you can do it as even a beginner knitter. It is not a hard pattern at all. So yeah, grab your knitting needles. You will need, in order to do it, you will need a skein of worsted weight, 100% cotton. I mean, you can do it with acrylic if you want to practice, but for your final thing, you do want cotton since it's going to be a dishcloth or a facial cloth or something like that. You do want it to be cotton, but if you want to practice and you don't have any cotton, you can do it with acrylic. But you'll use that, and you'll need US 8 size knitting needles to do that with. So that will be Wednesday's video. Now in October, we have a big events are happening in October because it's my third podiversary. So it'll be my third year of actually doing podcasts. And it's been a fast trip. Sometimes it seems like I've been podcasting forever, and then other times it seems like, I just started. It's gone really quick, and I've met so many fun people, and I'm having a great time doing it. So to celebrate all of the fun, each week in September is going to be a giveaway. 3 of the weeks are going to be yarn giveaways. 1 of them is going to be some book giveaway, a book giveaway. 2 books. There's 2 books in that giveaway. So, yes, that's coming up in September. The only thing I will say ahead of time is you do need to be a subscriber to be able to win. So if you haven't already clicked the little red button down below, click that and join in the fun when it starts the first week in September. And I guess that is it for this week. So thanks again for watching, and make sure to stay tuned on Wednesday for our dishcloth tutorial. Have a great week, everybody.